face.
Okay. And then?
And then the light. And then that was the joke.
Until one of them turned on the light.
Okay.
And then they played.
Yeah, but where is the guardian making? When I thought it was more funny.
Exactly. It's not very funny.
Yeah, with the light and click.
No?
Let's go.
Wait.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. It's just. We're lazy. Every once in a while, Stefan Feld just wakes up in the morning and thinks to himself, I need more money. And then he just writes down some weird ideas and mechanisms and puts them together into a board game. Usually they're good. And that's how I'm gonna introduce Bonfire. His latest edition in complicated, really interesting, pretty and well put together board games. It's a game from 1 to 4 players. You can basically play it alone with a few tweaks in the rules, but generally it works as well with 1 as well as in 4, 3 or whatever. It takes, I would say, a bit more than 2 hours to play, even though it says here 70 minutes to 100, but I think that's just a lie. And it has been published by Hall Games or Pegasus Spiele in Germany, or specifically more in Europe in general. It is a game about gnomes, apparently. Gnomes that have a city that is in the darkness and being lit up by bonfires that have been extinguished a while ago because the guardians of the bonfires just thought, fuck this shit, I'm out, and retreated to their own islands somewhere. I don't know if you can call that a theme. It has a kind of story, I have to admit, but that's really not the point. The game is all about intricate mechanisms that work together to form one big cohesive gameplay. If you take away just one of those mechanisms, everything will fall apart, and you can't take just one of them after the other and explain them to a full extent without getting to the bigger picture. I know it's rambling, but if you've ever played any Stefan Feld game, you would know exactly what I mean. So let's try to explain it. I think that was the best introduction without rambling, without nonsense that I've ever done. Okay, we'll begin now with setup. To set up the game, you first choose a color. With that color comes a lot of different components. You will have those offering baskets tiles here, those action description tiles, something like that. Then your color disc, as well as the 0 and 50 marker, as well as those things, and we will explain everything one after the other. To set up, first you take one of those beginning pilgrimage tiles that you will just slot into your board like this. You will also take your 7 gnomes that you will then put on each of those symbols next to your portal/bonfire spaces. You will also take here your player aid, in that sense, that will give you the different types of actions, or remind you of those actions, as well as one of each resource that is present in the game, so 6 in total, and 2 wild action tiles. Once you have done that, you will have to take, depending on the number of players, those tiles, one of which will always be this one, just shuffle them up and randomly deal them out to every player. We will be playing a 2-player game, or setting up a 2-player game. So let's just say we got this tile, so you will just slot it here on the side. Next up in the setup, you will have to take those so-called fate tiles that are provided to each player and just randomly put them in this space here next to your action overview. There will always be one left that you will have to keep on the side for now, because we have first to get to the rest of the board before coming back to this one. Next, you will take 5 of your offerings basket and you will put them each here. Then just flip over the first one to reveal one of the resources. Okay, next up is the setup of the actual board itself. First, you will put the 6 so-called elder cards out, as well as 6 specialist cards. Next, take the path tiles and make 2 stacks of them. Then reveal each the first one and put them on the 4 spaces as shown here. There are 3 different colors, and the reason for that we will see later. Next up are the so-called missions. You will just take a big amount of them and put them randomly on the different islands that you can see here. Depending on the number of players, again, you will have to take either 2 for each island if you are playing for a 1 or 2 player game, 3 for each island except the ones in the corners, which will have 2 if you're playing with 3 players, or 3 missions on every single island if you're playing with 4 players. Finally, you will need to put the guardians in each of the colored 4 islands as shown here. There are 4 per island. You will also have to put the great bonfire in the middle of the board of that big circle and put it facing this spot, as is also reminded here on the board itself. Put the 5 neutral gnomes on those 5 different common mission spaces. Finally, you will have to put the so-called portal tiles that you can see here that exist in 7 different shapes with a different symbol here in those 7 spaces. If you play a 1 or 2 player game, you will have to remove 1 of each shape out of the game. Then you will have to place them randomly in those 7 spaces, each time taking different ones. Take the 5 countdown tokens, tiles, and put them from the highest number to the lowest number in a stack and put them here on the board. For each player, you will now put your victory point tracker on the 0 spot, as shown here. Next to it, your number 0 and 50 victory point tracker next to it. And put each ship of every player here in this neutral part of the board. With that, setup is done. Now that we finished setup, there is one last thing to do before the first round, and that is to check whether or not we want to keep the tile that was left during setup, or to exchange it with the one in the middle to see which one will better fit the beginning of our first turn. In that case, we will just keep that one and add one of each of those symbols as action tiles to our starting hand. The guardian of our own color will be put on the first path of our own city. The tile that we have left is put in the middle of our fate area. Now, to understand the actual game, we will now explain what you can do during your turn. Each turn, every player will successively, from the first player to the last player, do one action, just one per round. There are 3 types of action. One, all of that is second one, and the third one. We will now explain the different action tiles. That's basically the second type of action you can do. You will have to spend those action tiles in order to do things on your turn. We will go through each one separately, as this is really the main part of the game. You have the path action tile, the ship or movement action tile, the mission tile, the guardian tile, the bonfire tile, and finally the gnome action tile. You can use those to do your different actions, but you can also spend 2 in order to basically get a wild. This can then be used as any other action. The same applies also to the different types of resources. You have 5 basic resources, those 5, as well as the gold, which counts as wild. You can also, just as for the action tile, discard 2 other resources to gain 1 gold instead. The path action tile allows you to take 1 tile from the main board and add it to your actual path. You have really to begin from the left and fill up to the right. If you arrive at this tile, you will have to pay 2 action tiles instead of just 1 in order to add 1 path. Whenever you use a mission action tile, wherever your ship is, you may take from that island one of the missions that is present and put it onto your board on any of the different bonfire spaces. You can choose whichever one you want. Let's just say here. To do so, however, you also have to put one of your offering baskets, take it and put it on the space that you took your mission from, and spend the resources depicted on both the island and your just spent offering tile. So in this case, you would have to pay 1 shell and 1 flower. If you want to take a second tile from the same island, you will have to pay not only the 2 resources that you already paid here, but also another one from the next offering that you will provide. So in total, 3 different ones. In addition to that, you also have to pay 2 action tiles instead of just 1. The same would apply if there is a third one, so you would then pay in total 4 different resources, as well as in total 3 mission action tiles. The movement action tile allows you to move your ship from one island to the other. Using 1 action tile will allow you to move from one island along these paths to one other island. So I could go here, there, wherever I have access. Using 2 action tiles, you can do this twice. So from this island, you can go to that one and then to that one, for instance. If you were to use 3 action tiles, you can move from anywhere to anywhere on the board. For each player, the first time they use a movement or a ship tile, they can just navigate wherever they want. From then on, however, the usual rules apply. The Guardian action tile allows you, as long as you are of course on that island, to take one of the Guardians from that island and put it into your starting tile on your own city. Now remember, you may only have one guardian of each color, so the maximum is 5. You can also use the guardian tile to move your guardian that you have on your city as far as the number of tiles that you just used. In that case, if I use just one, I will move one of my guardians onto the first space of my city. Wherever your guardian lands, you will also collect the resource associated to that path tile. In this case, I would then gain 1 gold resource. As such, using more than one tile, you can move all of your guardians as far as you just spend tiles. In this case, I'm using 2 tiles. I can move this guardian 1, 2 tiles, and this guardian as well 1 and 2 tiles. And I collect both resources as depicted here. Bear in mind that you may only have one guardian per space. Now let's assume that you already have a path where you have a portal in between, as well as a lit bonfire. In that case, if your guardian lands on that path, you may, instead of taking the associated resource, move this guardian down through the portal and keep him here in order to gain the associated number of victory points at the end of the game, as shown on the actual space itself. Using the Great Bonfire tile, you can move the bonfire in clockwise order along the track. The first person who ever uses one may put the bonfire wherever he thinks is the right choice for him. Wherever the bonfire lands, you may take 2 out of the 3 resources shown on that space. In this case, it would be either a gnome tile, a gnome action tile, the red berry resource, or one of the portals. From now on, using a bonfire action tile will allow you to move the bonfire 1 space clockwise. Using 2 of them will allow you to move up to 2 spaces, and using 3 of them will allow you to just rotate the bonfire on any space you wish. Coming back to the portals, whenever you take a portal, you will have to slot it from the right side of your city to the left side, and you have to take the only one that you can slot in. If you are unable to do so, or if that tile is not present on the bonfire space, you may not take a portal. Portals are the only way for guardians to reach the bonfire and earn you a few more victory points. The gnome action tile allows you to recruit one of the gnomes. It doesn't matter which type of gnome you want, either a specialist or an elder. The difference between them is specialists will give you a modifier for the rest of the game from that moment onwards, while elders will give you a certain number of victory points depending on the state of your board right now. So you will score these immediately and never again. So it doesn't matter if at the end of the game you have more guardians, as in this case, you will only earn as many victory points as you have guardians right now. In order to recruit one of the gnomes, so one of the cards, whichever one you wish, you will have to spend, as explained, one of the action tiles, as well as twice the number of resources shown on the card itself. It needs to be this specific resource, or using, as usual, wilds instead. You can, however, also pay 2 tiles in order to just pay 1 resource. The limit of cards that you may recruit is 6. Now we can explain the other 2 main actions that you can do during your turn. The first one is to take one of the fate tiles you have here and put it onto your board.
Hi, Charlie from the future here. We forgot to mention that this action may only be taken if you have a maximum of one action tile left. We're saying that because we actually made the mistake throughout the rest of the video that taking that action whenever we wanted, even during the play around time. So yeah, bear that in mind, it's kind of important. Okay, back to the video. Bye!
That's the only way you reliably can get new action tiles. If you take this action, you will have to take either the first or the last from your fate tiles and put them onto your board. Let's just say you would take this one and slot it onto your board. It has to touch an existing tile that you already have, but it doesn't necessarily need to touch a tile of the same type. This would be a valid move, for instance. The tiles may not overlap each other, and they may, of course, not go outside of the actual fate space. Whenever you cover one of those spaces, either the gold one or the wild, you may take the associated resources immediately into your collection. Finally, whenever you put down a new fate tile, you collect all of the action tiles that are shown on the tile itself, plus any that you are currently touching of the same type. In this case, we would get one path action tile, one guardian action tile, and because those are the same type, two gnome action tiles. The last action you can perform is to light a bonfire. If you meet the prerequisites of the mission tile that you have on one of your bonfire spaces, you may flip it to its lit bonfire side and put it as follows on the space that you had it on. You then take the gnome of that space and put it on one of the so-called council spaces. Those are these 8 spaces that you can see here. These will give you either, let's say, a free action that you can take immediately, or a victory point, or in the case of this specific field, 2 gold and 1 wild action tile. On each of these spaces, you may only have one of the same color of gnomes. So once you have taken this spot, you may never take it again during the rest of the game. There are also so-called common missions that you can take. Whenever you reach the prerequisites of those tiles, of those spaces, you can claim them without having to use up an action. You can just immediately say, I will take this gnome and put it on one of the spaces of the council for free, as well as taking the associated victory point that is shown here. As a reminder, those are common missions. Every player can claim them even if it has already been claimed. However, only the first one to claim it will have received the gnome for the free action or victory point. Finally, the game will enter the end game phase whenever there are, for 1 or 2 players, 7 of the gnomes in the High Council, for 3 players, 10 gnomes, or for 4 players, 13 gnomes in the High Council. At that point in time, the first player, so the player who has this specific token on the right side, will take the countdown tiles and put them on top of that space. Now, for the next rounds, every time the first player takes an action, he will also take this tile and give it then to the next player. When those get back to him, he can just discard them, and so on and so forth until there are no more left. Whenever a player receives one of those countdown tiles in his hand, he may choose to stop playing, so not taking any more actions, in order to keep the tile and gain this many victory points as shown on the tile itself. Just as a reminder, if you claim the token, no more actions for you, your game is over. Now let's get into how to actually win the game. We will explain how victory points are counted. Every player will receive at the beginning of the game one of those handy cheat sheets with a basic summary of how to gain victory points. First, you will count your lit bonfires. Every lit bonfire is worth as many points as there is on the bonfire itself. Then you will check how many of your guardians have passed through the portal to get to the bonfire itself. Those victory points you will be awarded as well. Every lit bonfire that has a portal next to it will also get victory points. 2 to be exact. Every bonfire that has the same color as its corresponding path will get 2 additional victory points as well. So for instance, this one will not get those 2 victory points. Then you will count the points that you have received for the common missions that you have fulfilled. Then each of the fate tiles that you have not used during the game will give you 3 victory points as well. And finally, all of the resources and action tiles that have not been used up will also award you victory points. Each 2 of those will give you 1 victory point. It doesn't matter if those are resources or action tiles, they just count as 1 resource each. So this and this would be 1 victory point. As a reminder, the Elder cards that you have used during the game, you will have received the victory points already at that time. So those you can basically ignore. It's just a reminder that you received those victory points during the game. As a quick overview of everything that you can do during the game, again, it is just take every round 1 action, either using your fate tiles to get new action tiles, using your action tiles to do things either on your or on the main board, as well as lighting bonfires if you have fulfilled the necessary requirements for them.
Game
Yeah.
ends, you said that?
What?
Yeah, you said that when the game ends.
Yeah.
Wait, okay. You will have a lot to do to cut those video.
Okay, so we are going to play a bit. We spared you the tedious details of the setup, so we're ready to play.
And I'm the first player.
Yeah.
Because I'm the first player, I will use my action to go with my ship wherever I want. Ta-da!
Okay, do it.
But because I don't have an action,
Yeah, you use
I
a
will
wild
use the
one.
wild shit. And I don't know where to go. So I need 4 of them. No, 2. Okay, I will go here.
Okay, so you would need a red and a grey one to fulfill
Yeah.
that. But whatever. Okay, so that's your whole action for the whole turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my turn. I will use. I will immediately buy a guy.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't check the cards.
Yeah, that seems to be.
That's not smart.
I don't know if that's smart or not. I think I will actually buy her. I think maybe. Should I?
Yeah, if I understand all the cards there. Stupid.
Okay. Yeah, the game itself has a whole. the book has explanations on every single call, on everything, on every aspect of the game, so there are too many to explain. I will not go into the iconography, and it doesn't make any sense anyway, so all I will say is I will take that one, because that one will allow me to get twice everything from the path tiles whenever some guardian steps on it. I will use a free action of a wild thingy to go and...
Yeah, just check the missions, it's important.
I'll go here, in the middle.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
my turn. I will use the bonfire
Mm-hmm.
to just go where well, here.
Of course, yeah, sure.
And I can take it now everything. Because of my card,
Mm-hmm.
if I understood correctly.
Yes.
So I can take one flower, one guardian,
And one of the portals.
but
Can
just
you?
one of the portals.
Just one of the portals, you can take all of them.
Yeah, I
But-
can.
Yeah, you can, so take it. Just take your portal already.
Yeah. And the things. Yep. Done.
I will already use one of those actions to get 2 ships. One of those,
And
and a
gold.
bonfire, and a gold because I'm covering one of the gold thingies. Your turn.
I will take a mission. Oh, no, it's not that. Yeah. And then I have to pay.
Mm-hmm. You have to pay
So
whatever.
I have to
that's,
choose. I will just pay to take that one. Put it in there. So I have to pay with that and with that twice.
Exactly, you have to pay everything that's...
And I
So
don't know where
here.
to put it. So I will put it here. And I will discard that.
Wait, why did I use a wild one before?
I don't care, and now you can turn it back. So sorry, just move on.
Yeah, exactly. I will use my... I will use 2 garden tiles to go 1, 2, and 1. That gives me 2 gold and 2...
No.
Yes?
Oh shit! I didn't understand that. Okay. Fine.
That's a lot of stuff.
Then I will use that to do that thing here.
Okay.
No, I will do something else. I don't know.
That kind of game.
No, I don't want that. I will use
Does.
this one.
That's super powerful actually.
Yeah, I will just do that. Or not.
You're done.
No.
But I will forget what I wanted to do.
Yeah, because my cards are shit. Continue.
We have the same, just saying.
I don't care.
I'll use the bonfire to do that. Take one of those. Plus, is it? Yeah, that's that one. Ooh, your turn.
Okay, I will turn this one because you see,
Mm-hmm.
pace. But I can take that one. Pace. Yeah, okay, I will do that.
We forgot to turn.
Yeah.
turn over. Oh, come
And
on.
that guy
Please.
to take stuff.
That's really shit.
I need stuff
Don't have it. Yeah. From anywhere.
from anywhere. What I need, I have all of those. So it was something else. It was a mission. Those are gray.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to have 2 or no 1.
1 gray. The number underneath is just how much
Okay,
you will
okay.
receive.
I didn't know that one. Why did I didn't took that? But it's fine.
Okay, so I have emptied my thing here, so I can turn that over.
Okay.
And I will do the same. Whoops. Sorry. Yeah, that was correct. So I
No,
will
it was
take the-
here. I'm certain because I wanted to. No.
No. Definitely not, because
No.
I'm waiting for you to turn.
Oh,
Yeah.
I will not.
What? I didn't say anything.
Okay, you're done. I will light this up. We'll take those stuff. So now it will start the thing with the action, right?
Oh, no, it already did. Sorry.
And that one. Okay.
Now it's my action and I have 5 left. So I will use those 2 to get, how about that, a yellow thingy there. And I will get the associated resource with it.
I will use this one. Move
Mm-hmm.
with each of my guys here. So I take one, that one, that one, and that one. And that guy goes here. No, that, and I will not take this one. And that guy
You
goes there.
go down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
So your turn now.
That's what I'm going to do as well, because I will also use. Oh.
No, that was.
No, that was number
Okay,
4.
for now you will do the 4. Okay.
Exactly. So I will use one of my guardian thingies to go down again. Okay. So now I will use my guardian thingy to go 1 down, 1 down, 1, 1, and get those 2 resources.
I will use 3 of those.
To turn it wherever you want.
Wherever I want. And I need this one. So I will go here. Take that one. Put it here.
Oh, that's awesome actually.
And then that one and that one.
Give me the 3.
Okay.
Well, I will then use 2 of those to do the same thing. Turn it over, take that one, put it there.
Okay. So now I will use.
2 more actions. Only
Okay.
2 left.
I will use 2 of those.
Exactly, that works.
So I take one, and that one.
Movement. Well, guardian movement. Same thing. Okay, I'm done. Last action. Very last action for
I'm
you.
thinking if I can't do anything, I'm done. So I have 1 victory point.
Keep it, exactly. My turn. My last action. I turn that over. And go wherever, doesn't really matter.
And take 1 victory
And take
point.
1 victory point. Exactly.
Okay, we're done.
Done.
Let's count the points now.
Victory point track!
You have.
Okay, so I have here 6, 12, 18, 18
21.
21 points. So I have 24.
I have 19.
Then 19 plus 5, 24. Same.
Same, okay.
Then, second thing, our
Guard.
guardians guarding the.
Wow,
things.
all of
I
your
have
guardians
3.
are there. I have
3
just
of
2.
them. So I
5,
have
9.
9 plus 6, 15.
So 39.
So 39 exactly. You?
And I have 9, so 33.
33. Then, each bonfire where there is also a portal.
Okay.
2 points per.
Du,
I have
counter, Josh. I have 3.
4, so 8 in total.
8 for you, so that means.
47.
And then I have 39.
39, exactly.
Shit, you are here again.
Then, the bonfires that are the same color as the path. So
8.
in total 8. So 47, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we count those. You have 4.
50.
You're exactly at 50. I don't have any of those. Now, 3 points here.
What is that the other thing?
That's in case you have the 7 one here.
Okay.
If you lit every bonfire.
So
that
I
you
have 3 points to here.
Same.
So 1, 2,
1,
3.
2, 3. And then
Two
the
places.
resources.
You have more.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8 points.
I have 6. No, 7.
4, 5, 6,
1,
7,
2, 3, 4, 5,
66 points.
6.
Yeah.
So.
So 9. So you have 59. and I have 66. I win! Ooh! Thank you. I don't know what to say about the game. Just, it's excellent. It's absolutely phenomenal. I haven't played a lot of Stefan Feld games. I mean, Trajan, however it's called, pronounced, as well as Aquasphere are the only two that I really played a bit more than once. And from what I can say, I would say hands down that's his best design yet. Everything is interconnected, like most of his games in any regards, but it feels like a big menu of different ways to win at the game. You have the bonfires themselves, you can just try to really get your guardians down. You have to keep in mind that the elders also give you points. There is a lot of ways to really put a bit of spice into your mix so that you can win the game. And it's really thinky. There's a lot to pay attention to, and it feels like a brain workout. That's how I could best describe it. Like you are trying to, if you want to play the perfect game, that is, I think, possible, but then you will have to think of your game already from the very first turn onwards and have everything in mind that you wanted to set as a goal from your very first round, and that's just not possible. I mean, that other people will just use that dumb bonfire thingy in the middle and just completely ruin your game. I mean, I don't know how to say this, but that might really be my favorite game ever. Maybe, possibly. I really think it's just awesome. So on that, just there's somewhere the button to subscribe and everything, and you know the drill. Just do it, please. I think I